Sometimes life feels heavy in a way that's hard to explain. You keep yourself busy. You meet your responsibilities. You're surrounded by people and goals. But even in the middle of all that activity, something inside feels empty. You're going through the motions, but your heart's not in it. Deep down, it feels like something important is missing, something real, something personal. You exist, but you don't really feel alive. Maybe you've told yourself it's just stress. Maybe a doctor told you it's anxiety or depression. They might have handed you a prescription, gave you a few words of advice, and sent you on your way. You take the pills, morning and night. Days go by. Weeks! Maybe months. The pain quiets down, but it never really leaves. It's not gone, it's just muted. And underneath that silence, something is still calling for your attention. That pain, that discomfort, might not be a problem to fix. It could be something else entirely. It could be your soul trying to reach you. Carl Jung, one of the most influential psychologists in history, believed that what we often call mental illness isn't always a sickness. He saw it as the mind's way of signaling that the life you're living doesn't match who you truly are. That sadness, that confusion, that lost feeling, it could be your inner self telling you that something is deeply out of alignment. Maybe you're working a job that wears you down instead of lifting you up. Maybe your relationships feel empty or one-sided. Maybe you're chasing dreams that don't even belong to you, dreams that were handed down by others, shaped by expectations, not by your heart. And while you try to keep going, something deep inside keeps whispering, "This isn't it." You weren't taught to listen to that voice. Most of us weren't. We were taught to be good, to follow the rules, to succeed, to stay quiet. We were told to be normal. Don't make a fuss. Don't be too emotional. Don't question the path. So when something inside of us starts to hurt, we're taught to silence it. Get back to work. Keep functioning. Be productive. The world rewards you for being efficient, for getting things done, for showing up even when you're broken inside. You get praised for staying strong, for being reliable. But no one sees the cost. No one sees what it takes to keep pretending you're okay. Inside, you might be falling apart. Modern medicine often offers fast answers. You're feeling down? Take this pill. You're anxious? Try this one. The symptoms get managed, but the deeper issue stays buried. You're told you're chemically imbalanced, but no one stops to ask why your soul feels so far away from your life. We've built a culture that's more interested in your productivity than your well-being. As long as you can keep working, spending, and fitting in, the system considers you fine, even if you're quietly falling apart. But Jung believed the real problem isn't just in your mind. It's in the space between the life you've built and the life you need. It's in the distance between who you are and who you've been pretending to be. Your soul wants freedom. It wants truth. It wants to feel alive. And when you deny it for too long, it doesn't go silent, it screams. But not in words. It speaks through your body. Tight chest, racing heart, sleepless nights, a constant feeling of being out of place. These aren't random problems. They're messages. But we're trained to ignore them. We're trained to push through. Take something. Get over it. Don't slow down. And so the pain gets worse. And the more we try to numb it, the more lost we feel. What if you stopped running? What if you started listening instead? Real healing isn't about getting rid of the pain. It's about understanding what it's trying to say. That empty feeling you carry isn't a flaw. It's your inner self telling you that this life, the one built on roles and routines and other people's expectations, doesn't belong to you. It's not weakness. It's truth. You've been strong for too long. You've adapted. You've survived. But now it's time to come home to yourself. Jung called this process individuation. It means becoming who you really are, not the person the world told you to be, but the person you were always meant to be. It's not easy. It's not quick, but it's real. Individuation isn't about changing your habits or setting new goals. It's about facing everything inside you that you've ignored. It's about uncovering the parts of yourself you were told to hide. The pain, the anger, the dreams, the desires, the truth. You can't become whole if you keep cutting off pieces of yourself. Jung also talked about the shadow. That's the part of you that holds everything you've repressed, your fear, your jealousy, your sadness, your rage. Most of us are terrified of our shadow. But Jung believed that healing comes not by denying these parts, but by facing them, accepting them, and integrating them. Only when you make peace with your shadow can you become whole. But society doesn't want you whole. It wants you obedient, predictable, quiet. Disconnected people are easier to manage. They buy more. They question less. They follow the script. And when they collapse, when the anxiety turns into burnout or the sadness becomes unbearable, the system doesn't ask what's wrong with the world. It just gives you something to dull the symptoms. Another label, another prescription. And so the cycle continues. But there's another way, a harder way, a more honest way. And it begins when you finally say, I've had enough. When you stop running from your feelings and start listening to them. When you stop asking, what's wrong with me? And start asking, what is my pain trying to show me? Because the truth is, your pain is sacred. It's not something to fear. It's something to respect. It's the beginning of your transformation. We live in a world that avoids suffering at all costs. But Jung believed suffering has a purpose. It cracks the shell you've been hiding in. It opens the door to something deeper, something real. It's the call to wake up, to come back to yourself. The sadness you feel might be the first honest thing you've experienced in years. The anxiety might be your soul begging you to stop living someone else's life. These emotions aren't your enemy. They're your invitation. They're saying, this isn't working. Please listen. So many people are walking around pretending everything is fine, when inside they're falling apart. And it's not because they're weak. It's because they've spent years denying who they really are. Living someone else's version of life. Trying to fit into boxes that were never meant for them. You don't have to keep doing that. You can start again. The journey won't be easy. It will ask everything from you. But what it gives back is worth it. Peace, clarity, purpose, and the quiet joy of finally being yourself. It starts by choosing to listen, by making space for your truth, by asking, what is my soul trying to tell me? And when you listen, really listen, you'll start to remember who you are. Not the version you perform for the world. Not the mask you wear to fit in, but the real you. The one who's been waiting all along. Carl Jung once said, those who look outside dream. Those who look inside awaken. This quote sounds beautiful, but it also carries a deep truth. Most people spend their lives looking outside, chasing approval, success, relationships, and happiness in the external world. But few dare to look inward. Why? Because looking inside means facing yourself. All of you. Not just the parts you show the world, but the parts you hide, even from yourself. Facing yourself is hard. It means taking off the masks you wear every day. It means letting go of excuses and really seeing the truth about who you are. It means confronting your shadow, the parts of you that carry pain, shame, fear, and unmet needs. But this process, while uncomfortable, is where true awakening begins. You can't truly know yourself without knowing your shadow. And if you don't know it, it ends up running your life. When we ignore our darker sides, they don't go away. They just hide in the background, shaping our thoughts and actions without us even noticing. You might wonder why you keep ending up in the same kind of toxic relationship, why you sabotage yourself at work, or why you feel stuck even when everything looks fine. Often, the answer lies in what you've buried deep inside. But here's the good news. When you stop running from those hidden parts and start understanding them, something changes. You begin to reclaim your power. That's what Jung meant by becoming whole. He wasn't talking about being perfect or fixing yourself. He was talking about becoming real, completely and honestly real. Not what society wants you to be, not what your family expects, not what your social media shows. Just you, fully you. Because healing doesn't come from perfection, it comes from wholeness. This journey is called individuation. It means becoming the person you truly are, not the version you were told to be. It's a process of bringing together all parts of yourself, light and dark, strength and weakness, joy and pain, into one complete being. It's a reunion with your inner self, the part of you that knows the truth, even when your outer life is full of noise. But why do so few people take this path? Because it's hard. Because it's lonely. Because it requires you to feel things you've spent years avoiding. Most people would rather stay busy than face themselves. They prefer distraction over discomfort. And in today's world, it's easy to stay numb. There's always a new show to binge, a notification to check, a goal to chase. But under all of that, something feels off. Something is missing. That missing piece is meaning. Many of us suffer, not because we're weak or broken, but because we're disconnected. Disconnected from ourselves. Disconnected from purpose. We're tired, not just from doing too much, but from doing the wrong things. We're exhausted from living lives that don't reflect who we really are. Jung understood this deeply. He saw that much of modern suffering doesn't come from outside problems. It comes from the inside. People feel lost because they don't know why they're doing what they're doing. They go through life on autopilot, stuck in routines that drain them, committed to roles that don't fulfill them. And even when they succeed by society's standards, they still feel empty inside. This isn't just personal. It's cultural. We live in a world that teaches us to value performance over presence, image over truth, comfort over growth. We're taught to chase success, but not to question what success means to us. We're taught to fit in, but not to belong to ourselves. And so we live split lives. One part of us doing what's expected, another part quietly dying inside. And that's where the unconscious comes in. To Jung, the unconscious wasn't just a place of repressed trauma. It was a rich, symbolic world, a deep well of insight, creativity, fear, and truth. It holds the parts of ourselves that we've forgotten, rejected, or denied. And until we make those parts conscious, they keep showing up as fate, as patterns we can't break, as relationships that hurt, as choices that confuse us. For example, maybe you think you just have bad luck in relationships. But if you look deeper, you might find that you're drawn to people who reflect unhealed wounds from childhood. Maybe you think you're unlucky in your career, but part of you might be afraid of success, afraid to stand out, afraid to fail. These patterns live in your unconscious, and they won't change until you bring them into the light. The unconscious isn't your enemy. It's a mirror. It shows you who you are, not who you pretend to be, but who you truly are underneath. That can be scary, yes, but it's also the path to freedom. How do you connect with your unconscious? Through dreams, through silence, through honest conversations, through therapy, creativity, reflection. The unconscious doesn't speak in facts, it speaks in feelings, symbols, images, stories. When you slow down and start listening to it, you'll be surprised by how much it has to say. And when you start to listen, something amazing happens. You begin to feel more whole, more alive, more grounded. You stop living for others and start living from your center. You make decisions that reflect your values. You stop chasing approval and start seeking truth. You stop seeing your pain as a curse and start seeing it as a doorway. This kind of change isn't easy. It requires courage. It requires time. It often requires letting go of the life you've built to make room for the life that truly fits. But it's the only kind of change that leads to lasting peace. Most people never do this work. They stay asleep. They choose the familiar pain of numbness over the unknown pain of growth. They build lives full of distractions and accomplishments, but inside they feel lost, quietly aching for something more. But you don't have to stay stuck. You can choose a different path. You can begin by asking yourself, what am I pretending not to know? What parts of me have I buried? What do I need to face in order to feel alive again? The journey to your real self doesn't start with changing your habits. It starts with telling the truth to yourself about your fears, your wounds, your dreams. And once you start, you can't go back. Because the real you, the whole you, will keep calling. And that call is sacred. You may lose people along the way. You may outgrow situations, jobs, even identities you once clung to. That's okay. That's part of awakening. It's not about having all the answers. It's about having the courage to ask better questions. If you've read this far, something inside you is already stirring. That small voice that says, there must be more. Listen to it. It's not your imagination. It's your soul trying to wake you up. So now I ask you, what do you need to let go of in order to truly live? What's the lie you're still telling yourself? What would happen if you stopped pretending and started being honest? You don't have to have it all figured out. You just have to start. Because once you do, your life won't be the same. You'll move differently. You'll see more clearly. You'll stop living on the surface and start living in truth. And there is nothing more powerful than a human being who has made peace with themselves. Nothing more alive than someone who walks in their truth. Nothing more inspiring than someone who has faced their shadow and chosen to become whole. You were not born to live anesthetized. You were born to awaken.